It's a story about revenge.
Yeah.
That's the theme I'm really exploring.
Right.
Is what is revenge? Why do we need to do it? How far can we push it? And how much do we need it or not need it?
Well, and that's the thing.
Because it's a virtue in our society we do not extol.
Hi, Buck Berlin here on behalf of Literati Comics. I myself am a retailer that found out what Literati was getting themselves into, and I needed to be part of it because it's really cool. So as you all have seen in the Previews magazine and on some of the Kickstarters, we have some really, really cool comics coming out that just might actually change the whole scene of comics. And to talk about one of the projects coming out that you, the viewer, need to talk to your retailers, or you retailers, fellow retailers, order lots of, because this is a big new thing. We're going in new directions. We're talking The Blackjack Demon, with the creator of The Blackjack Demon, Nick Hermes.
Hi.
Hey, Nick.
How you doing?
So I'm here to interview you, let everyone get to know you, get to know the project, and know a little bit more about how we do things at Literati. So first off, why don't you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Well, my name is Nick Hermes. I've been an oil painter for many years, and a couple of years ago, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis or what, but I figured, hey, this comic I've been thinking of for just since I was a kid, I might as well do it now. So that's why I'm doing comics now. But I'm basically an oil painter.
What brought on the creation of the Blackjack Demon?
Well, when I was 14, I had to take French for the first time. I had to take a language. I picked French, and I was bored with it, and so I basically came up with this story instead of learning French. The problem was that I started to incorporate the lessons I wasn't learning into the story, and so it turns out that language and culture and how those two forces kind of move across history ends up being a fundamental part of the story. So, Madame Gouldy, thanks.
That's pretty great. So what initially got you into comics?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be like Charles Schultz, and then I wanted to be Bill Watterson. And as I got older, I realized that the comics page was shrinking, and I also got older and realized that maybe I didn't want to just do comic strips, but I knew I wasn't secure enough in my talent to do comic books, the anatomy that's necessary to do it. And we were talking when I was like 15 years old. Was far beyond me. But I loved the stuff. I bought the comics. I bought X-Men for 4 years. I mean, I was just you'd go down to Safeway and grab the next issue.
How old were you when you first dove in?
Oh, I don't remember. When I first held a crayon.
Okay, so you were young.
Always.
Okay.
This is the thing, I guess. If I was a fatalist, this is what I'm supposed to do.
No,
in some way.
It's kind of interesting how people get into comics now, because now it's more people watch the movies and then discover the comics from that. Whereas, like people our age and older happen across comics themselves first, and then discovered, oh, there's other stuff that ties into these, like other movies or TV shows or what have you.
And I think that's kept my interest in comics alive in a general sense, because it was never out of my sight. When I fell in love with comics as a kid, it was really the inking. That's still what I love most about comics, is like a good inker. That's my guy. That's my gal. I think it's amazing to have that kind of control, especially brush control, which is what I'm going for. And
difficult.
Sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But they had all of these great guys. I loved Terry Austin. I didn't know his name at the time. I learned these guys' name like in the last 2 years. But I knew who they were.
Yeah, it's you know that there's something there, that there's an intelligence there, or a majesty to it that you need to know about. You want to know.
That can't be replicated, because I had my other art buddies when we were kids, and we were good. If you spend enough time, you can draw anything.
Right.
But we couldn't recreate that stuff. And it wasn't until years later I realized, we were not using the right tools. And those tools were far beyond our little grubby mitts.
Oh, and just the moment when you first happen across a brush nib for the first time, or just learning the actual inkwell technique, there's an intimacy found in that is like none other.
It is, and it's strange because with oil painting you can paint over it, and you can paint over it if you make mistakes. This is about as far away from that as you get, because once it's on the page, if you take a brush loaded with ink and you throw a line and it's wrong, well, hey, you can't cover that up. I mean, you can maybe
You can
white it
white
out
out
a
it.
little bit, but dude, you got to start over, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes, it's like watercolor. I mean, I had a watercolorist friend tell me that it's like pee in the swimming pool, man. Once it's in there, it is in there. You
Yeah.
know? So there's a little bit of a tight wire act whenever you're inking.
Yeah.
But I like that.
Yeah, watercolor is one of those, like, I looked at dipping my toe into the pool trying to do that, and no, it looks like a super simple thing that, oh, anyone could do that. No, it is the most difficult way of painting in my
It's weird.
Yeah.
I wonder if it will come more easily. I'm at the point, right, where I've been an oil painter for long enough that I was in command all the time whenever I went to the studio, and so when I came to comics, I regressed, and so as I'm moving forward, I'm like, man, I want that command again, and I'm very, very close, and I'm hoping, listening to you talk about inking, it's like that's exactly what it's like,
Yeah.
it's this terrifying thing that you've got to love the result, otherwise you'd never risk jumping over that
it's
bridge,
it's like
that chasm. I mean,
that kind of moment in high school when you realize, like, oh, I'm about to become an adult and I need to learn a thing. What am I passionate about? And that you first throw yourself at something that you don't really know,
right.
and it's this is hard, but also kind of fun.
Especially if you're allowed to fail, and I'm glad that kids today, especially artists, it seems that that's part of the curriculum, part of the teaching nowadays is giving kids a chance to fail. I don't think that when we were kids that was really. You maybe had teachers who said that, but that really wasn't the way it was.
No, not at all.
And I think artists, especially any creator, artist, or musician, dancer, whatever, we need to have that ability to fail, because at one point we're going to have to motivate ourselves, and if there's just nothing but failure in our souls, well, then who would ever continue this career into their adulthood?
Right. Well, and yeah, it's one of those where the kids have that opportunity now, but also have access to seeing all of the greats kind of do their thing. Because back when we were coming up, if you were lucky, Blockbuster had a copy of, like, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, or it had one other, like, art instructional video, and that's the closest you can come to learning how to do comics.
Yeah, I can tell you this. As I said, just 2 years ago or so, when I started to do this in earnest, if it wasn't for YouTube videos, there's a guy, Wong, I think his name is Wally Walden Wong. Walden Wong. He gives away anybody listening who wants to learn how to ink. Walden Wong on YouTube, dude. That guy, he's giving away the secrets. Just giving them away.
Which I think that for the most part should be the way it is.
I agree.
Like, if whatever you have is so precious, then it really needs to be something that has changed the world. Because otherwise, what are you doing? You're holding everyone else back.
And I would say that inking is one of those things, maybe like fine woodworking, where it used to be necessary. Before we had photographs in newspapers, these guys would draw pretty photorealistic things using ink lines. That's the tradition that comic book guys inherited, which we now inherited from that, and we're losing it. Naturally, I understand why. I mean, the tools are changing, but actually, throwing a line with a pen or a brush is in danger of being lost. It really is, because it's not as necessary as it used to be.
Yeah, and if you start at the Golden Age, you take a look at what Kurt Swan was throwing down for Superman.
Mm-hmm.
It's photoreal pencils.
You betcha.
Like it looks like an Alex Ross painting or something that could be torn up in a gallery, like torn down by critics in a gallery. Like, it is absolute art. But then you because those pencils wouldn't register when they were transferring it to print, that's where the inker came in. And the inker couldn't get that gradation in time, couldn't do all that, so they went with the simplest lines that would convey.
Absolutely, and we are not constrained by that anymore. And so there is no reason to keep inking alive. I mean, personally, I'm like, oh, I hate that, but I understand that like, legitimately there's no reason to keep it alive because we're not bound. I mean, look at all
Yeah.
this stuff. This stuff, we can print anything
So
on the page now.
So, where I would argue that point is actually your project, just because it feels. I say it feels. It is a callback to more classic comics. It feels like the best written 1950s comic. Like it feels like it belongs in the upper echelons of EC Comics.
Boy, my
So,
heart feels really big because Wally Wood's one of my
yeah,
big guys. Boy, and everyone loves Frazetta.
oh yeah,
But I'll never
but
mention him first. Because everyone mentions Frazetta first, but he's great. But dude, Wally Wood is my guy. I love him.
oh, absolutely. Who are some of the artists that inspired you for art in general, and then we'll get into comics.
Art in general, it was Norman Rockwell first, because we had a lot of Saturday Evening Post covers in my house that my grandma had, and they gave them to my mom. And used to just love him. So basically, anything that was realistic, I liked. So movie posters, Drew Struzan. I was a huge fan of Drew Struzan just because that was one of those movie posters that looked real. It looked as, oh wow, that guy did that with paintbrushes and pencils and stuff. I can imagine doing that myself. That's the whole point. Can you look at that painting and steal some of the techniques if you're a little kid trying to figure that out? So there were certain guys that did such beautiful stuff. It seemed impossible, but you could still tell that they did it. So therefore, it was possible. It was kind of a proof of concept thing for
Yeah.
my future or something.
Yeah, and I mean, Drew Struzan, everything he does kind of has an extra like level of magic to it. It's maybe use of the yellows or the adding a sepia to something that makes it.
I don't know what he always
It's
has a haziness
Yeah,
in
there's
his
a
stuff.
quality to it, but instead of detracting from it, like you would think a haziness would, it just brings it all together.
I would argue that if there's anybody watching who is a figurative artist who doesn't like abstract art, which is what I used to be, that kind of thing that you're talking about with Drew Struzan and these this kind of haziness and
Yeah.
those things all going together, that is knowledge of abstract art. That kind of stuff comes from studying paintings that aren't of anything, and he clearly did that, so he could make the most efficient image for the most number of people. Everyone loves Drew Struzan.
Yeah.
I mean, he cast his net wide, but he didn't sacrifice quality to do it. Oh,
Right.
what a stud! I love him. I love him so much.
So, what about some of the comic artists?
And those were some of the first artists too. They just weren't on the painting list. But I mentioned Terry Austin before, who I still love. It's sad to me that I probably won't end up inking like him. I'm more of a Bernie Wrightson guy because he's more organic. I think that Terry Austin is like a robot almost. He's perfect.
Yeah.
He's like Dave Stevens, same kind of guy. I love Dave Stevens, but I probably won't be a Dave Stevens because I'm not a robot. He's too meticulous, too brilliant.
Well, and in the model making world, there's like soft edge and hard edge model making, which soft edge means like it's a more organic thing, like you're more comfortable making trees or people or creatures, whatever. And then you have your hard edge model makers that are your ships, your devices, something that is like this pen would be a hard edge model, So it's saying that Terry Austin is more a hard edge model maker.
I'd say so.
Whereas,
Yes.
Bernie very much soft edge because just everything flows out and flourishes into either something grotesque or beautiful, and it's neither the in between.
And you were the guy that turned me on to Bernie Wrightson. I was aware of his stuff and always liked it, but you're the guy who put a name to the work, and I got really obsessed with him for a good 6 months. And I can tell you why that is, because he is organic. Because all of his lines, all the stuff that Bernie Wrightson does, and it is so beautiful, is that he's letting the brush do what it's supposed to do. He's not forcing it to do. All a brush is just making a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
It's either a really long triangle, a really short one, fat one, thin one, but it's a triangle. You'll see a lot of artists that use the brush, but they make it do things that aren't triangular. Well, there are pens for that, Bernie Wrightson, he just made all the triangles exactly the right way they. he just used it right, you
Yeah.
know. And so it was really good that you turned me on to him. That was right when I needed. It's like, well, if I'm going to use a brush in an organic way to define forms, well, I can't imagine a better artist to steal from than Bertie Wrightson. And yes, I steal from him liberally. What a genius! I'm so sad that he died recently. He's one of those guys that I might make a fool of myself and go up to him and say, "Hey, I loved your work, man." And I'll never get that chance, unfortunately.
Oil painting or illustration? What do you love more right now?
Right now, illustration, and probably, yeah, it's a shame. I've always liked doing cartooning more than painting. I had to become an oil painter because that's the direction my life took.
Yeah.
But when I started doing this, and I picked up the ink, and you open the bottle of ink, and you smell the India ink, and it's a certain smell, and
Oh, yeah.
and the smooth paper and the light, it's pure. There's this pureness, you know. It's like the bright light, and you're looking at the white bull, you know. That's what Hemingway called the blank page is the white bull. 'Cause you got to wrestle it down, and it's gonna knock you over, because that's how it feels like.
Yeah.
I got to put brilliant stuff on this thing, and it's wonderful. It's just like I was like 12 again. You know, and I got to say, when I have to go back to painting, which is often, you know, I've got to go back and, you know, do these
Yeah.
commissions, and, you know, it's not as fun. It's always been that way. I hate to admit it, but it's always been that way.
Do you have trouble going back into oil painting?
No.
Okay.
It's not that. This is all. I'm a little ruled by my emotions when I work.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer. I wish I could be more like Norman Rockwell, he just did it, and then at 5 he clocked out and he went and had dinner. You know.
Yeah.
Never been that way, but it doesn't matter. I'd much rather be very good at the oil painting and then not be enthused when I have to do it than the other way around, because I have to still learn more about cartooning to really compete with some of these guys. Whereas oil painting, I've been working long enough. I'm pretty solid, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
always more to learn, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm farther along with that. So
do you ever feel like you have to like knock the rust off a little, or is it just like, oh,
sure,
riding the bike again?
sure,
So,
you know,
okay.
but it's not like it's more like riding a bike than it is like, I don't know, what are things that you got to practice again?
I don't know, baseball.
Maybe, I don't know.
know.
It seemed it didn't. The only real problem is that when you're oil painting, you got to wait for it to dry.
Yeah.
And you got to do that a little bit with painting too. But it only takes, you know, or with cartooning too, it only takes a couple of minutes, you know, for that to dry. But yeah, I can't like just say I'm painting and I put that up. So I can't work on that right now. I'll just go over here and start cartooning. That never happens. It has to happen tomorrow. I guess like today's a painting day. Even if I'm not
Yeah.
painting again, I'll just go play pool or something like that for the rest of the day. It's like, oh, I'll go paint in a minute, and then the next day, 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm drawing. You know, I can finally. I don't know why it is. It's a stupid thing, but hey, you know, I work constantly, so I guess it doesn't matter. You know, it all gets done.
Yeah, I suppose your work ethic really has played into the success of getting this project done. Just because you see a lot of comic projects get their first issue and then that's it. Because artists, by and large, are free thinkers that don't want to maintain a schedule and don't want to try to have that conformity to a uniform routine, which is great as long as you can put out the product.
Right.
But for yourself, since you had the oil painting as the profession, you figured out the trouble spots to avoid.
Well, that's true too. It's just that I figure that if you work all the time, and I don't really have any hobbies. I don't have any. My wife works at home. I work at home. That's our entire lives.
Yeah.
Eat, work, eat. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Sleep. I mean, that's all there is. So I don't have to worry about my work ethic. I probably don't have a very good work ethic. I just really like doing this.
Yeah.
And so with this comic, as you were saying, a lot of guys will do the one book and then they won't do the second or the third one. Well, I figure if I can just get the first 3 done before we even put out the first one,
Yeah.
well, then I'll be locked in. By that point, there's no getting out, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, you're invested time and you've sacrificed and bled for it, you know?
Absolutely.
And at that point, even I, the creator, was like, well, where's the story going now? Even I'm interested, you know? It's like, I don't have
Yeah.
to sell you. I'm selling me, and I already know what's going on. So that was kind of the idea there, is like to just kind of addict myself to the idea of the thing.
Yeah.
And before anything even comes out, and I've already got all this stuff in the hand,
Well,
we can
and
just move on.
as a retailer, that speaks volumes to me, knowing that I'm not going to be left with this one issue that promises a future that will never happen, because we do that on an almost weekly basis.
Really?
Well, I mean, indie comics are more in vogue right now. You're seeing a lot of people trying for the first time, and you're seeing amazing stuff coming out, but there's no actual guarantee of an issue 2 till it's in hand.
That's understandable. That's a tough thing to do.
I can say, like, I've seen the art for an issue 2. I've seen I've seen what you have done.
Oh, we haven't seen issue 3 yet, but I'll show it to
No,
you.
but yeah, so we know that it's coming. There's there's insurance in that alone. Just knowing, yes, this project is, this story is coming to completion.
Well,
So,
and just speaking for myself, I believe that most artists paint something or draw something, or because they want to see it.
yeah,
You know, it's not. I mean, some people are into the process, but really, I think they just say that when people are listening. But really, they want to see the thing finished.
yeah.
That's the whole idea. And
Well, and especially
my
if it's something that you've been thinking about since 14.
and that's the whole thing, is that the thing that I really want to draw, because there's one particular page that I really want to draw, and the 300 whatever pages there are going to be, there's one page I really want to draw, and that's in the second to the last issue, probably. I mean, that's probably where the timing is.
Yeah.
So, maybe you won't get the last issue. I'll just say maybe the last issue won't come out, but the other 14 are coming out, because I want to draw that page,
'Cause you
man.
have to get to
yeah,
that page.
I can't tell you anything about it.
It'll
but,
just be a bonus round.
It's going to be
Yeah.
it's cool and grisly and neat.
So,
Don't worry, you'll get issue 15. If I get to 14, well, God, I mean, got to finish 15.
Yeah.
Then I can go to the Bahamas or Bermuda. That's
There
where I'm
you
going. Go to Bermuda.
So, what were some of the influences for the Blackjack Demon? Because knowing it's a Western setting, but it goes all over the place. But it's very obvious, even in just the first issue, that it's not just Westerns that inspired all of this. And you can kind of sort of see, actors and things. Anyway, what were some of the inspirations before I take over?
Well, okay, a lot of stuff. In the 80s, they had a lot of movies about going to other dimensions. And like a lot of fantasy movies where, you just like there's a big door would show up and then you walk through the door and you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
Every movie in the 80s was about that. Okay, so there's that. On top of that, there was all kinds like Terry Gilliam. That's a big
Yeah.
one. Let's just start with Terry Gilliam, because that guy was the he sculpted movies, still does.
Yeah.
Not as much as he did. I think he's winding down, which is cool. He ought to and just not fight everybody for just the last few years of your life. I love that guy, but I watched the behind the scenes DVDs. I'm like, God, I can't believe you haven't had a heart attack, man.
Yeah.
You don't cut it. Anyway,
So, it's funny you mentioned Terry Gilliam, just because as soon as you said that, it does kind of feel like Time Bandits. It just kind
Time
of
Bandits.
feels.
Time Bandits,
Yeah.
Buckaroo Banzai, Hellraiser. There are tiny little pieces of like most of the non-cop movies in the 80s
Yeah.
that are in this, because I liked little bits of all. I liked them all, but there are little bits
Yeah,
you
it's-
put in your pocket.
Yeah.
You put a little bit more in your pocket, all the way up through, I'd say, about 1995. And at that point, it started to be like the books I would read, and I would realize, the story you've got it's good, but it's kind of more of a teenage story. You need to kind of put real science in there, or real philosophy, stuff that you've now learned, because now you're an adult, you know a few more things.
Yeah, it's odd to see what movies or shows or things that don't end up being your favorites, but just something about them gets added to your personal tapestry.
Absolutely.
Someone acts or says a certain way, and then you start to emulate it or pull from it or something. And even though it's just this one little piece of that, it moved over here and changed.
Well, maybe you remember the feeling that you had when you were and only people around our age will get this, but you may understand that you watched the Muppets,
Oh,
and you
absolutely.
would watch Star Wars, and you would watch oh maybe like the Beatles. They'd play the Beatles. All of those guys seem to like Saturday Night Live. They're like these guys. They all seem to work together just a little bit. You know, it's
Yeah.
like one guy would work with this guy, and that guy would work with this guy, and then later you would see all the stuff that they did together. And I'm just mentioning those four because those are four that I personally always thought were just amazing. And you'd see all of them kind of feeding off each other, and then for the next 20 years, everyone is feeding off of the accidental stuff that they did. I don't know if that really answers any questions,
No,
but
it adds to the,
that's the feeling I'm
yeah.
going for. That unnameable feeling. But I don't work in like the committee kind of setting like they do, where they get to talk to all these different people. I'm all by myself, so I just have the movies.
Yeah, so you are your own committee, and
Kind of. My wife helps me. She tells me I really go far afield. She'd be like, just no, and that's good.
right, but I mean, it's kind of interesting to see the sole creator projects go, just because you are, where it begins and ends. I mean, until the editorial process begins, and then
Right, and luckily,
yeah,
Charles, who is the head of Literati, he's my editor,
yeah,
and he has been really cool about just keeping me on the path. He
hmm,
hasn't dictated too much about maybe the story should do this, or maybe it should go here. He just makes sure that I'm not like going onto a path that's too narrow. I'm going to fall down the
right.
right.
It's not this issue is all this one conversation. It's the
Right,
yeah,
it's like the
because
entire. It's like there's a lot of exposition from pages 1 to 25.
yeah,
You want
which
to pare that down a
it's
little, and
real
maybe
easy
put an
to
action scene in there.
yeah, it's real easy to accidentally fall into that yeah,
Absolutely, especially if it's all up here. If you don't watch yourself, you'll tell the entire story in one issue.
yeah.
And it's been kind of tough. It's like, how much can I tell too early? Because you want to keep people excited, but at the same time, I don't want to give this away yet. I want to keep this to the very end and then hit you over the head with it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting the characters that we meet in the first issue. Silas is the main character, um, and actually, you know what we haven't done yet. Now that we're 30 minutes into this thing, why don't you give us the overview of the Blackjack Demon?
Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Well, all right. Well, so maybe 120 years ago, 1890s, young Silas and his father live in the Wichita Mountains in Oklahoma, and they're miners. And something kills his father, and the boy snaps, and he chases this whatever it is, stranger thing we don't
Whatever
know.
thing killed his father.
Yes,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and you find out a little bit as we go along, but it's just for the first three books, it's just him chasing this thing and how well and how poorly he does at that, and
Yeah,
how
it's nice that you didn't shy away from the embarrassing aspects of him being young and not knowing stuff. He didn't come out as the hero who knows it all. Like,
no. In fact, I wanted to make sure that I knew that was going to be a tough line to walk because a boy like Silas, I mean, he's a miner in 1890s in Oklahoma. I mean, he can take care of himself.
yeah,
I mean,
like
he's
he
not a
could
weak
function as an adult.
human, but at the same time, he's not a man. He's
Yeah.
not an adult.
He doesn't know, like,
Absolutely.
oh, this is the way to do this. This is how you go about this. He just knows that at some point I need to hit this point, so why don't we just go there instead of like, oh no, you need to go talk to them.
Yeah, he is just
Yeah.
tough enough not to get killed on the journey, you
Yeah.
know. But other than that, he's about as savvy as you and I would be, if we're trying to make it across the
Yeah.
country, chasing somebody who could clearly kill us. But it doesn't matter. We're crazy and we're
Yeah.
14. We've lost everything. I mean, we've all had some kind of thing where you just for 24 hours just went nuts and then realized, oh, thank God I didn't drive all the way down to Lawton and shoot that guy.
Yeah.
That never really happened. But I'm just saying we've all had that kind of feeling. But with Silas, because it's his dad and he's now alone in the world, he's got
Yeah.
nothing left but revenge.
Well, because back then it's you had family and you had nothing else until things were arranged.
Mhm.
So, I appreciate the art style that you took in it. It's like I said, it's more classic, grounded in reality. So the fantastical things that happen seem more out of place. And you're doing something that they kind of stopped doing around the 90s. You're putting in unattractive people, which you don't see so much in any media anymore. Because like everyone's just gorgeous, everything is perfect, every hair is right where it needs to be. There's no normal looking people left.
Well, that's something that we lost in the 70s. I still mention to people that, in the 70s, there's tons of movies where just plain looking people were in it. And they're some of
Yeah,
the best movies out there.
absolutely.
Yeah, they're just people like you would know. Actually, we were watching The Sting the other day. Now, okay, we're talking about Robert Redford and Newman, who, Newman, I would still lose my wife to Newman. Like his
Yeah.
dead corpse could get more action than I could. That's how awesome he was.
Yeah.
But in the movie, all the women are very just normal women. They let the guys kind of be their big
Yeah,
stars.
but the women are attractive based solely on their actions.
And
as
I
opposed
love
to-
that. I really
Yeah.
love that. And that's kind of indicative of what happened all through the 70s. And then the 80s, all the heroes got a little younger and a little shorter and a little not as strong. And all the
Yeah.
women got a little tougher and a little louder and a little more angrier. And that's
And then-
great. Things changed, but they all got really good looking.
Yeah, and then like in the '90s, you would still get a few like side characters that would still be kind of normal.
Yeah. William H. Macy. I'm glad he's got a job.
Yeah.
But that's, he's worth more than that.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think.
absolutely. But no, like Humphrey in the book, she reminds me so much of Anne Ramsey, like from Goonies, or
Oh, Mama
Throw
from the
Mama
train. Owen!
Yeah.
Owen! It's funny.
Yeah.
I never thought really of her until you mentioned that. I kind of thought she was not Eileen Wuornos, but Charlize Theron playing Eileen Wuornos.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was thinking of her, because I just thought that was an amazing performance. Like, how can one of the most beautiful women in the world play this character? And I bought it. Like, for the whole time I bought her.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
just thought she was very powerful. So I think that kind of just trickled in there, because I have a lot of respect for that story and that actor.
Yeah,
Actress, I don't know how you say it. No.
Silas, like I can't help but feel like Tommy Kirk from Old Yeller, which you were telling me before this you had never seen.
I have not seen Old Yeller.
Well, it's
Where the red fern grows, we saw that about 1 billion times, but that's because we're from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We have to watch that.
yeah. I was gonna say
I'm sorry I didn't see that.
they're not necessarily feel good movies. Not the happiest of endings. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I saw Stripes, so I know that Old Yeller dies.
Oh, okay.
So I learned that from that movie.
You heard it. Maybe here, folks. So,
1965 or something. We're safe.
yeah.
I'm gonna look up Tommy Kirk. I kind of thought that Silas is really just a
Yeah,
version of
it's-
me, because
or,
that's the age I was when I started the story. But I never thought of myself as really a good-looking guy or an ugly guy. I was just kind of plain, And now that I'm looking at him in the comic, I'm thinking, well, he's very white and blonde.
Yeah.
Maybe he is kind of a little bit more dazzling than I intended him to be. I wanted him to just be kind of average.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering,
Well,
maybe
but
now that I'm talking to you, I'm like, maybe I, pick his nose or something all the time to
Bring it back down.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think how he goes through the whole process, kind of befuddling as he goes, really kind of offsets that.
I'm glad. I
Yeah,
didn't
very-
want him to
very
be a
much so.
Mary Sue or whatever the male
Yeah.
version of that is.
Yeah, well, and the scene in the sheriff where the sheriff's just not having any of it, like it's that really helps sell like, oh, this kid's way out of his element.
Oh yeah, he's gonna storm on down there. I'm gonna take care of business, and
Yeah.
he doesn't even get a word in. He's like, well, I guess I'll go and pay somebody. I don't know. But no, I'm glad that you I brought that up about Humphrey. I really like the Humphrey character. I can't really say it.
Yeah,
So you've read it. You all have read it.
yeah. I don't know how far can we go into this without giving away the big twist, because there's a heck of a twist.
Well, I don't know. I let's just not talk about it.
Yeah, how's this? For those savvy enough and willing to look into the subtleties in the drawings and other promotional materials, it's there if you really try.
Excellent.
All right.
I figured that people who will like this book are either people around my age who like the same movies I do, or people who like the kind of drawings that I like.
Yeah, well,
Because a lot of what I'm offering here is what you said. This does remind you of, like, 50s, 60s, 70s kind of drawings before. I don't know what age of comics that are, but it's just, there's a certain flavor,
But
and that's what I
it's-
was going for.
but it's not done in an exclusionary style. It's not made exclusively for the crowd growing
Oh,
up.
no.
It's accessible, because I've passed it around here with like pointed customers of like, okay, you're this demographic, you're this, and the young kids like it. So
Well, because see, I'm not a father, and I don't know too many kids, so I have no idea
yeah,
how, like, kids. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
yeah, like it
I left out cuss words because I
Yeah.
wanted that to be an option, and I don't think I really have to cuss to tell this kind of story.
no, I mean,
I mean, I think I dropped damn. I think I said damn.
yeah,
But that's about it.
No,
We're good.
it's Bible swearing,
Right, yeah.
ass, hell, damn, yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Did you ever get in trouble for saying hell when you were a kid?
I did briefly until I was like, it's a place. So how I got around it, like it just serendipity being what it is. The week that I got in trouble for saying hell, the newspaper ran a story that it was colder in Oklahoma than it was in Hell, Michigan. I was like, hell is a place. It's a physical place you can go. I can
Well
tell you to go to
played.
hell, and I'm talking about Michigan.
See, I thought the word heck was the bad word because hell was in the Bible, and my mom was my Sunday school teacher, and so I was going up and down the street going, "Oh, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell?" Just this little 6-year-old kid, and
Gosh,
somebody
hecking
took
darn
my
it.
arm and dragged me up there. It's like, "You're a little bastard kid called hell, hell." It's like, "It's in the Bible, Mom," and they both just shut up. That's all memory. That's it. I think I didn't get spanked. I think they just parted ways, and I started saying heck.
So I referred to a donkey as an ass not too long ago, and this little girl kind of looked at me. I was like, "What? It's in the Bible." They've changed it.
Did they really?
They really did. Yeah. So the new ones, it's no longer ass.
Well, that fourth was it. One of the commandments is don't covet
Yeah.
your neighbor's stuff. That was, we would chuckle in church like for years. It's like covet thy neighbor's ass.
Yeah.
I mean, we were 8 and then 15, and it just kept getting funnier and funnier. None of this has to go on the thing. We're just sorry. We're friends in actual real life, so
Yeah. No. Yeah. It.
What were we talking about? I don't even.
Turns out we're talking about the Blackjack Demon
Right.
from Literati. No. No. Yeah. For everyone that knows, I'm not only a member of Hair Clubs for Men. I'm I say that as I'm balding. No. Nick and I truly are friends, and I genuinely do believe in the project. Hence why I'm throwing my name and I guess clout, whatever you want to call it, on the line for this because that's a hell of a book, man. Heck of a book. I don't know.
I thought we just went through this. We just spent 5 minutes going through this. Thank you, man, and and thank you for your help along the way. You've been really open about any question I've had about is this idea already been done? Is this style something I should look at? Is it passé? Any of those kinds of questions that kind of a noob like me would ask.
Yeah, and
you've always been very forthcoming.
Well, that's just how I live life. Is like if I can help in any way, shape, or form, I will. And
Finish my book for me.
I'll do it. You won't like what happens to Silas, but we're just about out of time on this.
Good. I'm running out of stuff to say.
I was going to say, do you have any parting thoughts for the Blackjack Demon?
Well, I'm just really glad that I did it. I'm glad that I didn't go ahead and keep on painting full time. This is a good thing. Even if it fails, I'm glad that by the time I'm done with this, I'll have the skill set that will rival the skill set I have with painting, which is really the long-term goal. Getting a little success, that was a secondary thing. But I get to tell a story, the full story that I've been kind of writing, as I go to sleep every night for 30 years. I mean, this is neat. I never really thought that I would actually do it. Now I'm going to. I'm wasting 3 to 5 years doing it. And when it's done, it won't be a waste at all.
No.
I have the thing.
Yeah.
I'll never say I didn't scratch that itch.
Right.
Now, this is a loser kind of talk saying this. Winner talk. Winner talk is I'm going to get so famous, so rich that no one's even going to remember my dad's name. Was that Steve Jobs that said that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. No, seriously.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I did this.
Yeah, well, and as a retailer, I'm glad just because it is something that we are bereft in the market for. it fills a gap that we didn't necessarily realize was missing. Um, I'm really excited about this and all the other comics coming out from
and
Literati.
Utopia.
Yeah,
That's the nice thing about Literati is that we've got right now we got 3 books, mine and 2 others. And when I
Yeah.
first got on board, I'm like, man, I've got a high bar for myself. I hope that everyone else does. And man, everyone else's bar is just high, 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 high. I'm very, very pleased to have my work next.
like
Jerry's.
and
Adrian,
and
Eric's,
Natasha
everybody's.
with Heathen and all
And
the
Natasha,
other.
I've read Heathen. I never met her, but
she's
another, and
fantastic,
they're
so-
associated with us. That was the first book
Unless
that
she's
they
sitting
put out.
next
So
to me, and then I
Lord.
criticize all of her art. Now, every time that
I understand she's really
she's-
pleasant. I've just never
she's
met her.
amazing. No, every time that she sets up at a convention or whatever, before she gets there, I'll try to leave a how to draw comics book instructional for her because I'm a jerk like that. No,
She did some great stuff on Instagram last month. Really, very sketchy stuff, but really solid images. Just a lot about her political anger right now. And they were all. I mean, she should put them on T-shirts. She could make $1 zillion.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, just the dinosaur work alone.
The dinosaur. I love those dinosaurs. I love those dinosaurs.
I wish she would do. Yeah,
Is she a Calvin and Hobbes fan? Was that where it came from?
I have no
Because
idea.
he drew dinosaurs like nobody's business, man. Because she's got that same big fat
It's
thighs with
visceral,
little
but
ankles,
yeah.
and very dinosaur-y. I mean,
Oh
she's
my
got
gosh.
the morphology just down.
So, Nick,
Anyway.
Nick, we're gonna have to do this again for your second issue at least, or next projects.
Okay, we'll try to script that one.
Yeah, this has been a hoot.
I had a lot of fun. I don't know about them, but I always have fun talking to you.
Oh yeah, likewise, folks. Check out Literati Comics. You'll find all of our information in the various bios, links, and what have you. If you scream loud enough, I'm sure some of us will hear it. Thanks for giving us your time and consideration. I'm Buck Berlin of New World Comics here in Oklahoma City. So if you don't like it, complain to me. I'll talk back. I'm happy to help. Thanks.